In life science chemical segment, we witnessed favorable market conditions leading to strong demand and improved product contribution. Input cost continued to rise throughout the quarter, and businesses are trying to pass the cost increases. During the quarter, we also witnessed an all-time high price of acetic acid, which was passed on successfully. I am pleased to inform that the company's growth projects are progressing as per plan. Our continuous endeavor to reduce leverage, we have further reduced the net debt by rupees 45 crores in Q1 FY22. During the second wave of COVID, we created a focused task force across our business units and locations to support our employees and their families. The efforts of the task force resulted in significant mitigation of COVID hardships for our people. We also take this opportunity to thank all our employees who have worked tirelessly across all our plants and offices to ensure continuity in company's operations while continuing to serve our global customers. With this, I now hand over to Rajesh to discuss about the business in detail.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatia. A very good evening to all of you. At the onset, I hope you all and your loved ones are safe and healthy. I would like to welcome you all for joining our Q1 FY22 quarterly investor call of Jubilant Ingrevia Limited. It gives me immense pleasure to report a robust financial and operational performance of Jubilant Ingrevia for the quarter 1 FY22. Revenue during the quarter was rupees 1,145 crore, demonstrating a growth of 55% year-on-year, driven by 18% growth in specialty chemicals, 13% nutrition and health solutions, and 103% in life science chemical business segment. EBITDA during the quarter was at rupees 287 crore, up 126% year-on-year, led by significant growth in life science chemical and specialty chemical business. Now let me take you through the updates on all our three business segments. Specialty chemical revenue grew by 18% on year-on-year basis, driven by higher volume across product segment. EBITDA grew by 22% during the quarter, along with superior EBITDA margin of 27.7%, which is 88 basis points higher than Q1 FY21. Overall demand continues to be strong. Domestic demand continues to improve due to shift of some of the pharmaceutical and agrochemical end product customers from China to India. The first wave of COVID-19 in India during Q1 FY22 led the improvement in domestic customers' demand for drugs, thereby improving the demand of pharma intermediates. Input costs relating to raw material, utility and logistics are increasing, and business is trying to pass on the incremental cost. Nutrition and health solutions revenue grew by 13% on year-on-year basis, driven by higher volume and prices, and the EBITDA margin was 15.9% during the quarter. The 13% growth in revenue year-on-year was moderated due to pandemic situation. The demand started improving towards the end of the quarter. During the quarter, there has been volatility in demand of vitamin D3 due to global pandemic situation. However, the demand has started picking up towards the end of the quarter. Business is continuously making efforts to improve market share of vitamin D3 for specialized and higher margin segments like food and cosmetics, etc., and also focusing to enhance our market share in North American market. Raw material, utility and logistic costs, which increased sharply during the quarter, which were passed on partially and has resulted in lower margins in the segment. Demand in animal nutrition segment got impacted due to COVID-19 regional cyclone and bird flu, specifically in poultry segment. Animal nutrition business is making efforts to increase share of its specialty premixes through various initiatives. Life science chemical business segment recorded very strong performance in our life science segment with 103% growth in revenue and 677% growth in EBITDA on year-on-year basis, along with an unprecedented margin of 27.3% during the quarter based on very favorable market conditions and acetic acid stock benefits due to increased price situation. Life science chemical market conditions remained favorable due to disruptions created by Uri storm in southern states of US, which impacted availability of acetic acid and acetic anhydride. The availability of both the products started improving by end of the quarter. The demand of COVID-related pharmaceutical drugs like ibuprofen, paracetamol, aspirin, and other products were strong during the quarter, leading to continued higher demand of acetic anhydride. With the improvement in COVID situation, the demand is getting back to normal level. Demand of ethyl acetate from packaging and related industrial sectors remained strong, led by COVID situation. The demand has started getting back to normal level towards the end of the quarter. Business had higher capacity utilization during the quarter across all plants for both acetic anhydride and ethyl acetate, driven by high demand in domestic as well as global market. We also maintained the domestic market leadership of acetic anhydride and increased our market presence in Europe, Americas, and rest of the world. Now let me take you through our growth plans and capexes. Our first phase of diketene project is well on track, and we expect to have the commercial production from this plant sometime during Q3 FY22. Further, we during the year have committed investment worth rupees 360 crore for following growth capexes. At peak capacity, these investments are expected to generate additional annual revenue of rupees 900 crore at prevailing prices. These capexes are CDMO GMP facility at Bharuch, which is expected to be operation from quarter April to June 2022. Two multi-purpose plants for specialty chemicals, which are expected to be in operation during the quarter April to June 2022. Food grade acetic acid, which is expected to be in operation from quarter April to June 2022. Acetic anhydride plant, which is expected to be in operation in the quarter January to March 2023. Agroactive phase 1 facility is expected to be in operation in the quarter January to March 2023. Our expected cash outflow, capex cash outflow for the year will be in the range of rupees 350 crore. With this, now I hand over to Prakash to discuss the financials.
Thank you, Rajesh. A very good evening to everyone, and thank you for joining us on Q1 FY22 quarterly earning conference call. I hope you and your loved ones are in good health and keeping safe. I would now highlight the company's financial performance during the quarter ended 30th June 2021. I would like you to recall that the life science ingredient business of Jubilant Pharmova Limited demerged into Jubilant Ingrevia Limited effective 1st February 2021, and our published consolidated results for Q4 and full year ended 31st March 21 comprised results only for 2 months of operation starting from 1st February 2021. Similar to last quarter, in order to provide the comprehensive picture of operations of the company on continuing basis, the results for the previous period has been presented on pro forma basis in the investor deck and also during this call by deriving the same from the published results relating to discontinued operations of LSI segment of Jubilant Pharmova Limited. The detail in this regard are provided in the investor deck and also in the note 3 of our published results, and we request you to go through the same. Revenue from operations during the Q1 FY22 was rupees 1,145 crores as compared with 737 crores Q1 last year. The EBITDA during the quarter was at rupees 287 crores as compared with 127 crores in Q1 FY21, with margins forming up further at 25.1% against 17.3% in Q1 FY21. Depreciation and amortization expenses during the quarter were at rupees 32 crores against 31 crores in last year. Finance costs during the quarter was significantly lower at 13 crores versus 28 crores in Q1 FY21, a reduction of 54% year on year on account of repayment of debts and lower interest rate. The average debts were lower by 706 crores in Q1 FY22 over Q1 FY21, and the average blended rate of Q1 FY22 was 7.09% against 7.84% in Q1 FY21. PAT during the quarter was 168 crores as against 53 crores PAT in Q1 FY21. The company maintained the steady deleveraging in Q1 FY22 also. The gross debt was reduced by 91 crores. Gross debt as of 30th June 2021 now stands at 457 crores against 548 crores as on 31st March 21. The company net debt stood at 386 crores at 30th June, a reduction of 45 crores from 31st March 21. The net debt to EBITDA ratio further improved to a very comfortable level of 0.5% on 12 months trailing EBITDA. Capital expenditure during the quarter was 44 crores. With this, I would like to conclude our opening remarks. We will now be happy to address any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who would like to ask a question, please press star and 1 at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Rahul Veera from Abacus. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, sir. Congratulations for the bumper result. So just wanted to understand in terms of our Daikitin capacity that's going to come online. Have we started test marketing via trading or marketing from any other players? Have we started feeding the market, sir? What kind of response are we getting for that?
So in Daikitin, our facility, as we stated, will be ready by Q3 this year, and we have actually test marketed with our sample quality with some of the customers, and based on that, we will be producing the product as required by the customer.
Okay. And sir, a product will have any overlap with Laxmi Organics products or customers?
Yeah, some of the products will be also common, and most of the products for future we are developing the value-added products. So, of course, some of the products may be common.
Okay. So, can we assume that there will be some kind of a market formation that will be required from our end by lowering the prices of the products?
No, I think there is a lot of imports of the products. So we will be substituting basically imports.
Okay. Fair point, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Nagraj from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity and congrats on a really good set of numbers. So the first question is in terms of the capacity utilization for the newer project. So the capex that we are doing and it will be coming into phases. When do we see optimum utilization of this incremental capacity? Maybe over the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? Thank you.
So in each case, the capacity utilization of the new capex takes time. So we plan to utilize the full capacity after 1 full year. So after 12 months of operation, we expect to utilize 80 to 90% of our capacity in each of the investments which we are trying to do.
Understood. So the second question is in terms of the price transmission. So you indicated that in most of our, all of 3 segments and in terms of individual products across the segments, we have been able to pass on the price hikes at least partially or completely in some cases. So is it completely passed on now since we are in, probably mid-July? And some of the prices of our inputs such as acetic acid have now started receding. So the entire price increase from the input cost front, logistic as well as other inflation, is it completely passed on? Thank you.
So as you must have seen that last quarter has been very, very volatile in terms of input pricing, and it has been continuously increasing. So we have been working to pass on the prices, and with a lag, I think we normally try to pass on in every product. So if you ask me today, I think depending on product to product, there is a situation of 100% passed on and partially passed on. But our endeavor is that after a lag, the input price increase is to be passed on.
Right. And if I can just squeeze one more question. In terms of the life sciences segment, we have certainly benefited because of the acetic acid stock situation. Could you quantify what was the benefit due to the lower price stock?
So it is very difficult to give you the exact number. But as you know that acetic acid price of the last quarter versus this quarter, last to last quarter, there has been a significant increase, which of course has some benefit on the stock price or stock valuation.
Thank you so much for answering the questions and best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amar Moria from Alpha Accurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for the opportunity, sir. So my first question is on the specialty chemical. Out of this 21% year-over-year growth which we had seen, 47% year-over-year growth which we have seen in terms of the revenue, how much would be the volume like?
Yeah, so in case of a specialty chemical, year-on-year, the major growth has come from volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying the 47% growth year-over-year is largely led by volume?
Volume as well as price, but more volume.
Can we get the mix if it is possible for you? The volume and price mix?
The exact number, but I can tell you that the growth has been significantly good in volume in specialty chemicals.
Is it we got some capacities, because I believe the capacities are yet to come, right?
No, so as we stated earlier also that we continuously do the augmentation of capacity of those products which are in high demand. So during the last year, of course, we have done the augmentation of capacities of those products. And of course, we are utilizing those capacities because the demands have gone up.
Okay. Because I also assume that why I was asking is that I believe, the pyridine prices overall and the derivatives of the pyridine prices have also gone up on a year-over-year basis. So just wanted to understand, obviously we would have benefited because of the volume also, but there would be a good portion of the price increase which is also sitting in the revenue today, right?
Yeah, so there is a portion of price increase, but as I stated earlier that the price increase happens gradually. So definitely the partial impact has come and further impact will come in future as well.
Okay. So basically, you are saying that still you have not been able to pass on the whole prices.
This is exactly I said earlier also, that in some products, of course, partially we have passed on, in some products we have passed on.
Okay, and you expect these prices to sustain, sir?
Depending on the input prices, definitely if the input prices remains at this level, these prices will be sustained, definitely sustained.
Okay. And how about the situation would be in your life science chemical? I believe there the spread was significantly in our favor, right? That is primarily visible with the EBITDA margin. But in terms of the revenue growth also, the revenue growth has been very sharp. So is there some capacity addition we did here in life science?
Yeah, in life science chemical, if you recall, we had added one plant of anhydride in 2020. And that is coming handy to us in getting our volume growth, along with the positive scenario of market as well as raw material prices.
Okay. But it would be easy if we can give some mix of the price and volume which we got benefited in specialty and the life science. Is it possible for you, like 40-60, how the benefit has been, so that it helps for understanding the future better?
So, it becomes very difficult to give those specific numbers, but you can fairly calculate that what was the acetic acid price in the quarter 4 and quarter 1, and that's the gain everybody must have got whoever has the inventory of whole. And of course, there has been some positive market conditions as well because of the demand scenario. Demand was high and the availability was low. So both put together, the benefit has come. And some of it will continue, like some demand scenario and our volume increase is happening. So our volume will further go up in the coming quarters. However, it is difficult to give any estimation on market condition right now.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vineet Gala from Monarch Networth Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So at the outset, congratulations on an excellent set.
Thank you.
On the nutrition segment, how much of the business is under long-term agreements, and how often do we renegotiate the pricing since we procure entirely from in-house? Do we actually get the benefit on RM escalation?
So in nutrition segment, I think the volume scenario is looking very good. And in terms of raw material prices, if the raw material prices are going up, the cost also goes up for nutrition segment.
No, regarding the nutrition segment, our contract is normally quarterly. So on contract prices, we are not able to increase, but next quarter we will be able to increase the price.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that question. So basically, in nutrition segment, we don't have any long-term contract. We normally have the volume commitment for a year or the quarter, and the prices are mostly driven on quarter basis. So if the price goes up, in raw material cost goes up, we are normally in a position to pass on with a lag.
Okay, got it, sir. But do we get benefits on our, considering we procure it entirely in-house? So do we get the benefit?
No. So we always transfer the internal raw material through arm's length pricing. So obviously, if the raw material cost has gone up, even the internal transfer of product will be at higher, obviously, because it has to be transferred with the arm's length pricing, transfer pricing.
Got it. Thank you. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Gupta from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening and congratulations on very strong set of numbers in the current quarter. Sir, 2-3 questions from my side. First, you gave a capex outlook for the current year, almost 260 crore with the revenue potential of 900 crore rupees. So can you give further segmental, like, how much of this coming in which segment, and is the revenue which you gave that is contributing to this segment, further breakup of this CapEx and revenue?
So difficult to give you that specific, but I can in general tell you that most of our capital investment gives us in a range of 2 to 2.5 times of investment to the revenue. Most of our investment. Yeah.
And this year our capital expenditure is going to be not 900 crores but 350 crores.
No, sir. I think the growth CapEx which sir mentioned, Rajesh mentioned, that is 260 crores, the revenue potential of 900 crores. I think that number is
at the peak capacity.
Yeah, that is for about 3 years.
Yes, during the 3 years period. Yeah.
Sir, I didn't get that. What you said. Sir, this year, current year growth CapEx is 260 crores, right?
No. So the investment committed is 360 crore. The revenue from this investment will be 900 crore at peak capacity, which Mr. Bhartia is saying will take 2 to 3 years time to reach to that peak capacity. As we also mentioned
earlier. Yes, that's fair enough.
Yeah, it will gradually increase. Your question was, can we give specific on each capex wise? I said it is little difficult, but you can fairly assume that 2 to 2.5 times of each investment we will be increasing capacity. So right now we are not giving the capex wise investment here.
Right, sir. And sir, as also earlier participants have asked, I just like to elaborate a little more on that, on the diketene chemistry which you mentioned is going to commission from Q3 FY22. That is just almost 6 months down the line. Sir, these are the long gestation periods. These are the long, very critical chemistry processes which we understand. So, if you are going to start this production almost just 6 months down the line, I believe that we must have got a fair amount of customer comfort, product approval, and some kind of order visibility. If you can, sir, give not for the Q3 FY22, but how much this diketene revenue, given the current comfort and current order insurance from the customer, can contribute in terms of revenue next year, FY23.
So as Mr. Bhartia has mentioned that most of volumes, if you see diketene today in India is being imported, right? So we are going to replace most of the imported volume. And we have already communicated earlier that our capacity is going to be in the range of 6 to 7,000 tons. So we will try to place this capacity in 1 year, 1.5 year time.
You are confident that 6 to 7,000 tons of capacity which are going to put by Q3 FY22, maybe over the next year we will be able to fully utilize that.
During 1.5 year time, 2 years, we should definitely be placing that volume.
Okay. Sir, when we talk about import replacement, so can you just give some size of the opportunity in diketene-based chemistry which is coming or getting imported in India right now?
Yeah, today if you see the imports of diketene in India is in the range of 4 to 5,000 tons. And sometime it goes up, sometime it goes down, but in the range of 4 to 5,000 tons.
This 4 to 5,000 tons are include the value-added parts as well, right?
No, mostly these are basic chemicals. Not value-added products in India is not very large.
Okay, so it's a plain vanilla commoditized product which is running on getting imported in India. 4 to 5,000 tons is the market there.
Yes, and also we are working towards the value-added advanced intermediate and exports, which we have mentioned earlier.
Okay. Now, sir, when we are talking about the diketene commissioning, first our focus is more on the replacing the imports, right? We are directly not looking at the export opportunities or the customers which we are already dealing with. We are not trying to sell to them right now, right?
These are very, very specific questions. I think we will deal it when we reach to the market. But broadly, we have explained you our strategy in diketene.
See, what for exports will be doing value-added intermediates out of diketene for exports.
Right. Okay. Just last question from my side. So we have definitely gained significantly in the current quarter from the higher commodity prices we've seen acetic acid and acetic anhydride, which you already mentioned. You also mentioned that the prices are now, because the pandemic is getting over, seems to be the prices are stabilizing right now. So where do you see that for the current year? If you can give some outlook in terms of margin profile of the life sciences business. I understand the current quarter has seen a significant benefit of price increases. Where do you see, sir, that this segment, life sciences business, can contribute in terms of EBITDA for the current year, full year FY22 in normalized profit?
So all the three business segments are doing very well. They are very strong in terms of demand scenario, except for life science chemicals, where the pricing scenario nobody can confirm for future. I can confirm you that our specialty chemical as well as vitamin businesses, volume as well as prices are in a good shape, and we expect the overall year to perform much better than last year.
See, overall, we expect to perform much better than the last year.
Yes, sir, that is very much sure, because it will also from the current scenario. The cost prices are on much higher than the last year. That we agree and understand, sir. I just wanted to understand that where the normalized profit can be in life sciences business.
In the life science chemicals, our demand situation remains very strong, and that is why we are adding more capacity there. So demand is very strong. Therefore, we expect a good volume increase in our life science segment.
Right, sir. Sir, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Poddar from Sapphire Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. So, just wanted to understand, you did speak about the passing on the input prices, and it comes with the lag. So currently itself, we kind of did quite a decent EBITDA margin. So is there any scope for improvement that we're talking about when we are able to completely pass on the input price increase on an overall basis?
See, overall, we cannot say that. As Rajesh mentioned, that we have increased we have been able to pass on in most of the segments. In some segments like nutrition, where there is already a contract during the quarter, in some quantities where contracted quantities we are not able to pass on, which we'll be able to pass on during the second quarter and during the third quarter also.
So that will kind of help it, in terms of your
improve the margins in the nutrition segment.
Okay. Fair enough. Understood. And can you help me with the capacity utilization of individual segment wise, if that is available?
So on our specialty chemical business, we are at a level of 85 to 90%. In our nutrition segment, we are at around 75 to 80%. In life science chemical business, we are close to around 90%.
90%. Fair enough. Understood. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Alisha Mahavla from Envision Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening, and thank you for taking my question. To start with, just taking the previous question forward, while you shared the capacity utilization, for most of the segments except nutrition, your capacity is completely utilized or almost close to being utilized. So is it fair to assume that incremental growth, at least for 1.5 year, will only be from the diketene business, and then the capex that will come in FY23 will be the next leg of growth driver? Or is there plan to do any debottlenecking at existing facilities also?
Yeah, very right. So, in most of our products, we continue our business excellence approach of continuous improvement in capacity to debottlenecking to improvement in our processes. So, wherever the demand is increasing of product, we are in a position to augment the capacity very quickly, and this is a continuous process. So whenever we talk capacity utilization, it is of today, but that doesn't mean that for next 1 year it will be static. In some of the products, we are already working on bottlenecking the capacity. In some of the products, we are ready with the additional capacity. So quarter on quarter, there is an improvement in capacity availability for different set of products. And therefore, there is an opportunity, and you can see that last 3-4 quarters, there has been an opportunity for us to take a growth of volume from augmenting the capacity.
So if I may just ask for clarification, you are doing close to double-digit volume growth in most of your segments, and you're saying you can maintain this kind of volume growth through capacity augmentation, which can be done very, very quickly and at minimal cost.
So in product to product, we can say that the growth will be possible. In some products may not be that double-digit growth, but wherever there is a possibility of augmenting the capacity, we are definitely doing that.
Sure, got it. And can you also tell us what is the capex that you've done in the Diketene business?
The value of capital investment?
Yes.
Yeah, so very difficult to give that number because most of the time these capital investment numbers are clubbed with some other initiatives. So very difficult to give you a specific capex investment number.
Okay. And so the last question I had was on your margins. So while there has been significant pricing benefits across your segments, what is the more sustainable number, say, if you historically see over the last 2-3 years that even if we remove any kind of pricing benefits, the kind of margin that the business can do at a consolidated basis, we're not comfortable giving for individual segments.
Okay. So again, I think Mr. Bhatia had mentioned that since we have such a diverse nature of segments, it is very difficult to give a guidance on overall margin. But let me now tell you that in specialty chemical, as you can see, we are consistently improving our performance both on volume growth as well as on pricing growth. And that will continue. So we are adding capacities, we are augmenting capacities, we are introducing new customers, we are introducing new products. So specialty chemical is going to give consistent performance. On nutrition side, the last quarter has not been very good with regards to our price passing on, as Mr. Bhartia already mentioned. We expect the nutrition segment to do better performance in terms of margin as well as volume. So, and life science chemical is a segment where it is so difficult to give you a scenario of margin in future. But one thing which we have informed you that in life science chemical, the demand scenario is very strong. We have added capacity 1.5 years before. We are adding more capacity which will be ready after 1 year. So we see consistent demand scenario. We see our requirement of products in global market. What we cannot confirm today is the future scenario of market as well as input pricing. And therefore, it is difficult to give the margin scenario of life science chemical, which we have been saying always. Hope it helps you a little bit in your scenario building, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pratik Kothari from Unique PMS. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity, sir. Sir, in terms of our acetic acid price, if you can just throw some light, what the price would be, say, currently, what it was in the quarter that we just reported on a per kg per-ton basis, and historically what the movement has been.
Yeah, so the acetic acid price last year, Q1, was in the range of $350. And the last quarter, which is Q4 21, was in the range of about $700 average. However, in Q1, it has been average about 1,050 or 1,080. That's the range we are talking. The exit quarter price of last quarter have been around 1150, 1160. So that's the acetic acid price range. Hope it helps you.
Yes, absolutely, sir. And also, in terms of the capex that we have planned of 360 crores and we are guiding for 900 sales potential whenever 2-3 years down the line. But you also mentioned that it's at prevailing prices. So if this acetic price is to correct and come back to normal historical range, should this number be revised downwards accordingly?
Yeah, slightly variance you will find, but other products may also go up. So we are giving you a number which is on an average that revenue will come. So yes, you're right. Product to product plus minus can happen. But broad number, I think we should be definitely that number or maybe little better.
Okay, fair enough. And sir, given the huge surge in price that we saw in terms of our chemical, your LSE business, is it fair to assume that we chose to sell more of the chemicals in the market because of large windfall of profits that we were getting, rather than upstream it and convert it to, say, a specialty chemical or a health nutrition business?
No. So let me give you a comfort that we do not consume acetic anhydride internally, right? So there is no way that we have diverted our internal volume to outside. Same way in ethyl acetate, very, very insignificant volume we consume internally. So both these products, we don't see any divergence. What we transfer from life science chemical business is a product called acetaldehyde and formaldehyde. Now those products we don't sell in market as such. So what you are assuming is not correct.
Okay, that is very good. Fine. Fair enough, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hussein Borisha from Joindre Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. So my question is again on the margin side. So we did a 25% EBITDA margin this quarter against 17% last, and this is mainly attributed to, you mentioned, in the LSI segment, or life science segment, which is because of the lower raw material cost. So just wanted to understand if this impact would continue in Q2. So if not, then our margin will again go back to 17% in this coming year. Is my understanding correct?
On quarter, again, giving the margin guidance is very difficult, and we have been always saying that it will be good for life science chemical to definitely observe us on absolute EBITDA value. So that is why
asking. Sorry to interrupt, Mike. I was asking mainly on like a full year basis. So our margin can go back to 20% level.
Again, it depends on how the market will behave. If the market remains good, it can be better. If market goes to the normal level, then obviously we should be close to that number.
Okay. And so my second question. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
You were saying something, sir.
No, that's what I said. Specifically in life science chemical business, margin is difficult to say. So if the market conditions remain good, we can even do better. So we don't know. Can't comment.
Okay. Understood. Okay. And so my second question is on the debt reduction. We are focusing on the deleveraging right now. So what kind of debt number we can see by end of this year? We have already reduced 40-45 crores in Q1.
Hitesh, as you see that we are generating very, very healthy cash flows. Mm-hmm. We also have capital investments lined up. Our current endeavor is to meet the investments from the internal accrual. So as it is, we do not plan to add debt. So that's where we are. So at the level where we will be, it's difficult to tell at this point of time because it also depends. But as and when we have an opportunity, we are reducing debt, and at the same time, we are planning to meet our capex through the internal.
So our debt to EBITDA level is only 0.5, so very comfortable.
Okay. So it will the debt to EBITDA level will remain at this level, so we won't need any debt for this capex.
Yeah. No. Yes. Capex is likely to be from internal cash generation.
Okay, understood. Yeah, sir. That's all from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rushabh Sher Dalal from Praveen Datila Share and Stock Brokers Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on a great set of numbers. Just a slightly longer term outlook question on the CDMO business. So, you do mention it in your presentation that the CDMO GMP facility at Bharuch is expected to go into operations from April to June. So, is this a sort of business where we'll be, doing the contract research and CDMO activities for companies like Syngenta or DuPont, and what sort of companies would be there in this kind of an arrangement, and contribution to the revenue and EBITDA, 2 years down the line? If you can give some picture to the investors. Thanks a lot.
You see, we cannot talk about companies whom we are doing business. We are doing business with both pharmaceuticals and agrochemical companies. But our margin and the demand remains very strong, and that is why we are investing to increase capacity. Apart from this, we are also increasing our capacity, as mentioned by Rajesh, in multi-purpose facility, which are non-CGMP intermediates. That also has a very good traction. So with non-CGMP and CGMP both, we do for both pharmaceuticals and agrochemical companies. And that also large pharmaceutical and agrochemical companies. So the margin there is very strong and growing.
Okay. But some sort of a ballpark number that you can give in terms of revenue and in terms of margin, 2 years down the line, because this business seems promising. The
business is very promising, as you rightly said. And that is why we are investing into both CGMP and non-CGMP facility. So there is a demand for both non-CGMP products, mainly in agrochemicals and pharmaceuticals, and also in CGMP, mainly in pharma products.
Okay, but any ballpark number if you can share with us, if that's possible.
Overall, we have said that it will add to about 900 crore sales, which also includes CDMO, but we have not separately called out on how much will be that CDMO and how much will be the other products.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
I can only say that we are adding these plants because our future demand from the existing customers and the new customers are also growing.
Okay. Thanks a lot, and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vipul Shah from RW Equity. Please go ahead.
Yes, congratulations on a good set of numbers. My question was on, life science, sustainability of the life science EBITDA margins. But I guess I have, you have answered it very clearly that the margin which we recorded this quarter cannot, be taken as a proxy. So we probably will have to moderate it a bit. Is that understanding correct?
No, you see, as Rajesh said very clearly, you should not focus on the margin, you should focus on growth of EBITDA. That is very important. So,
absolute EBITDA?
Yeah, absolute EBITDA growth.
This way, sir, the absolute EBITDA which we recorded this quarter, is it fair to assume that the quantum of the EBITDA will be sustained going forward?
No, we cannot say that because of the different uncertainty in both raw material pricing is very important. There is a complete volatility in the raw material pricing, so we cannot comment on this. But we can only say that the demand situation is very strong in all our products in life science segments.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ronak Ajit Jain from Jito Advisors LLP. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. congrats for your absolute and fabulous result. And actually, I need to ask you about I need to ask you about the future expansion plan. And I believe in your business and in the quarterly results and year-end growth also. Just I want to understand the future expansion plan, what you are going to do for further having a good result, maintaining this result as on.
So some of the expansion plan you have seen in our speech as well as in our presentation, the capexes which we have already committed. And further, I just want to inform you, we are working on a specialty chemical side to grow our business both in CDMO as well as our specialty chemical, and also in nutrition side. We are planning to grow in vitamin B3 and other products. So these are our growth plans along with the anhydride, which we have just informed that we are adding one more capacity. So all the three segments, we have a clear growth plan and we are moving towards that, implementing it as we have communicated in the past as well.
Sir, you are going to acquire any acquisition for the future, like as of any plan of like that?
As of now, we are not working on any acquisition.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kavita Thomas from First Global. Please go ahead.
Yes. Hello, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So my question is on this specialty chemical segment. So, sir, I just wanted to understand if I even see on a sequential basis, the specialty chemical segment revenues are almost flattish, but there is a significant improvement in the margin, so, and it's quite significant. So from around, I think 21% or something, it's gone up to 27, 28%. So could you cite some specific contributors to this significant improvement in margin?
So on sequential basis, why you are finding flat is because during Q1 in domestic market and also in global market, demand has got little bit impacted, right? Between Q4 to Q1. With regards to margins, I think our product mix is improving. As we have communicated that we are seeing a good traction on our CDMO business where our margins are better. We are getting a good traction on some of the products where we are getting a better pricing also because of our niche capability, and on our capacity side we have unique capability. So margin is improving because of our product mix improving. And volume side and sequential basis, the revenue also we can see the growth in coming quarters.
Okay, sir, I actually wanted to understand, sir, when you say specialty chemicals, as far as I know pyridines, which are there as part of the segment. Could you just give some examples so that it gives us an idea in terms of, what kind of specialty chemicals are we, talking about, which is giving us this improved margin? Some flavor on that.
So in pyridine and pyridine beta, alpha, gamma, this is one product range in specialty chemical. But we have a host of products which are very high value and 6-step, 5-step chemistry, which are used for specialized products. And we have almost 25-30 products which are going in pharmaceutical and agrochemical fields. So these are the products where we have niche customer and niche business. The margins are good. As well as this CDMO business where we have developed the product specifically for customers, and they are also some products are 6, 7, 8-step chemistries. So these products are definitely higher margin products, and it's a continuous process of adding value. So specialty chemical business is not a constant business. Pyridine and pyridine picoline is one set of products which is our cash generating product for long. But we have continued developing new products with higher value addition as per customer demand. using our chemistry expertise and manufacturing expertise. And those continuous improvement and value addition is happening all the time. So that's why you see the consistent improvement in specialty chemicals.
Okay. So, but sir, as we know, there are various companies even within India who are manufacturing, various specialty chemicals. So, are there players manufacturing products similar to what we are doing?
So, most of the products which we are producing in India, you will hardly find any producer. Maybe couple of products out of 20, 30. Most of the products we are producing which are very niche.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate the time you spent interacting with us today. I hope that we have addressed all your questions and queries comprehensively. If you have any unanswered question or any area where you have a clarification that we need to provide, please get in touch with the IR team and we will be happy to engage and clear those doubts. Thank you so much. Stay safe and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Jubilant Ingrevia Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.